You know what I think we should do?
What?
I think we should call a friend.
You know what? I'm calling her.
Just call her.
Screw that. I'm tired.
I know. Me too.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you mean I know? Say you too. I need every...
I'm saying I
middle-
feel you.
Okay, good.
I'm tired too.
I need every middle-aged woman to be tired so that I'm not feeling alone. The point of this podcast is to make people feel less alone.
Yes. If you're tired, we feel you.
Yeah, we really feel you. Man, I'm like, I looked in the mirror today and I was like, I don't look like me. I look like a really bad version.
You look beautiful.
Tired.
You are beautiful.
You're sweet. I was not fishing for compliments. But
I know
thank
you weren't.
I'm just, gosh, being an adult and being a parent and going through perimenopause and all, it's a lot. We need a vacation from lifing. How do you do that without dying? I don't want to die. I don't know.
True.
Anyway, today, by the way, I keep saying, don't cut this, Will. And our director of podcast is like, you say a lot. And I swear that ever since he said it, I say more ums. So
no, I think we're aware when we say and we're like,
I feel like I've been saying it even more. So if you are not at all interested in the topic today, which by the way is parenting fails, why don't you take a little notepad and start marking every time I say
Yes.
and then message me and tell me how many ums. These all count, by the way. I said in this podcast.
I love
this.
this.
I need to try to not say
Okay, well, try. And then we'll see how many you get. It can be like a drinking game.
Okay, but now see the problem is every time I say I like
Everybody drink milk.
Yeah. Let's not encourage. Let's not encourage. A lot of my listeners are parents. They're
Please
at home with their
right
newborn.
now.
We don't need
That's
you
why
drunk.
I said milk. What do you think I was talking
milk.
about? I was talking about milk or coffee.
Drink milk.
Pick one.
Oh,
milk
man.
or coffee.
It's a lot of coffee. So let's try not to say
Great.
All right. Parenting
Now.
fails. Here's the thing. I'm really big on trying to encourage my audience to not feel the unnecessary parenting guilt. We feel guilty about the silliest things a lot of times, right? We feel guilty for taking time out for ourselves. Are you kidding me? Like your kids benefit from you taking time out for yourself. I've said this a million times and I'm going to keep saying it until it is so ingrained in you that you never feel guilty. Never feel guilty taking care, really good care of the most important person in your child's life. And that is you. So there's so many different things over the years that I've heard my followers say they feel guilty about that they really shouldn't. And we all make parenting mistakes. I think today, instead of just focusing on, don't feel bad about that, don't feel bad about that, let's talk about genuine. I just burped. I'm burping and saying This is going to be a great episode. Burps, if I fart during this episode, we got to trifecta. It's going to be amazing. Anyway, please do not, if you're marking how many times I say don't mark how many times you hear a fart, because there's 3 of us in this room and we're all middle-aged. So I want to talk about genuine parenting fails.
Great.
And I want to make sure that we're doing this in a way, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. I'm going to mention parenting fails. Kat here, my producer, is going to mention some of her own. I actually asked my audience for some parenting fails. I got so many, I'm only going to read like 10. We got hundreds and hundreds. The reason I want to do this is because I think it makes everyone else feel better. Like there are there's a few here that are like really serious. And I don't want anyone to feel bad. I want people to go, yeah, there's a lot of stuff we should not feel guilty about, right? There's a lot of stuff that just, we put these unrealistic expectations on ourselves and then we'll feel guilty about it. And that's not fair to us. But then there's times we really genuinely screw up. And it's okay to own that. It's really okay to own that. And there's nothing wrong with you. There would be something weird actually if you never genuinely screwed up, right? I mean, we're human. But the reason we feel it so much more and even attach that word fail, we're even calling this episode Parenting Fails, is because this is our children. Like we love our children so much and we so badly want to do right by them. And when we screw up in other ways in our life, yeah, it sucks, but it doesn't feel as heavy. You know, if I genuinely screw up at work, that feels very different than genuinely screwing up as a parent. And so I just want to normalize today not being perfect. And also, if you even realize it's a parenting fail, that tells me you're a good parent. Because how many parents are mistreating their children, doing like making really, really bad, sometimes dangerous decisions as parents, and they don't even think of them as bad. The fact that you, as you're listening right now, I'm sure all of you can think of a time when you're like, no, that was a genuine parenting fail. The fact that you're aware of it already tells me you're a good parent. So focus on that. Kat, you have 4 children.
I do.
Have
That
you
means
had...
I have 4 times as many parent fails as somebody who has 1 child.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Good for you. You're like an overachiever in
I
parenting
am.
fails.
Oh, yeah.
I have 3. So does that mean I've less? I don't know.
You
I feel
probably
like,
do. You
I don't
have
know.
less than me.
I feel like I've screwed up more than you.
I totally doubt
Kat
it.
is one of the best moms
Yeah,
I have
so are
ever
you.
met. No, and I can say this genuinely because I actually have known you for years and I know your children. And I've seen you interact with your children on days when all hell breaks loose and they're having a day and you're having a day and you still are just, you're a really great mom.
Thanks. I think you're a great mom too. I mean, just the way your kids love you and respect you and will open up to you about anything. I mean, to me, that's amazing.
Well, thank you. Ditto. Let's talk about our fails.
Oh yeah, let's talk about our fails though today.
Let's talk about times we've sucked.
Yeah, I've got plenty. You want me to start?
You want to start? Yeah, start us off.
Sure.
Let's go.
There's some that are so bad, but these are the funnier bad ones. Okay.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna call you out for a second.
Yeah.
Are you not gonna share the real bad ones?
Well, I thought the funny ones would be better, but they're also really bad.
Okay. I just want to know. I'm not pushing you to say anything you don't want to say, but are there fails? You don't have to share them specifically, but
Yes.
are there fails that are so bad you would actually be embarrassed to say out
Yes.
loud? Okay, this is you.
What about you? Do you have fails that are so bad you'd be afraid to say it out loud?
Well, I think most of them I probably shared in my second book because I screwed up a lot when I was raising my, trying to support my oldest son through his mental health struggles. I'm sure there's probably, if I really think there's a few, but I've been so blunt. I gotta think about that. I gotta think about whether there's something I haven't shared. I'll share one today, but I shared that one in my first book. So, I just said.
Oh, good.
Like 3 times.
Everybody drink coffee.
Okay, so anyway, the reason I asked you and the reason I'm glad you admitted that there are some that you would be embarrassed to say out loud, and I'm sure there are for me too, is because I want people listening to know, like even the stuff we're sharing today, there's probably stuff that at least Kat, I gotta think for me, wouldn't want to share out loud. So whatever that is that you're embarrassed about, that you feel like I'm the worst parent, every parent's got them. Every parent's got them. And the people that say they don't, they're liars. They're liars. In fact, they probably have the worst stuff.
Right.
And they're so embarrassed and there's so much stuff and they're working overtime to hide.
And one thing I think that's good about talking about it openly, honestly, is that like for example, we were in carpool together. Remember, our
Yes.
kids, we carpooled them to school
they were
together
little,
when
yeah.
they were littler. And I always loved it when some parent in the carpool forgot to pick the kids up, because then it made me feel better for when I forgot to pick the kids up. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, but isn't that interesting how probably that parent who forgot
Yeah.
was like, Kat is judging me.
Oh, I
Kat
hope
thinks
not,
I'm the worst
but-
parent. Well, like we all have our insecurities. Like, oh my gosh,
Sure.
what is this other parent going to think that I forgot to pick my kid up? Or I know there's been many times where my kids were late to get into your car when you picked them up. And I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, they're late again. Kat's going to think,
Right.
I'm not raising my kids well to be on time. But really, you're sitting there going,
Thank
thank
goodness.
you. You
Yeah.
make me feel better.
Yes.
Okay, tell us a parenting fail.
Okay. This one still haunts my son. In fact, he mentioned it the night before I came to. So wait, like 2 nights ago, I guess he
I
mentioned
love
it.
when they throw it back in our face.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Okay, so it was his birthday, and we were having a big birthday party. Ari was there. Your son was at this birthday party, okay? And they were all, it was like a little Einstein's birthday party, and so we had they were painting and doing all this fun stuff. And I had gotten, for the painting part, everybody painted on an easel, and I had 8 set up, but 7 kids were coming, right? So I had 1 extra, just in case like a sibling showed up. And I had 8 bears to go with it. Well, a parent brought 2 extra kids and didn't tell me.
Well, that's their fail.
Right?
That's not your fail.
And then one of them was like 2. Okay. So it was like a little girl. So I was like, it's okay. She doesn't need to be a part of it. But she wanted to paint. So we let her paint like on the floor. Well, when I went to pass out the bears and be like, for the most creative art picture, it's, Elliot. And I gave him a bear.
Yeah.
And for the whatever picture, it's Ari. And I gave him a bear. And I get down to this little girl who's 2 years old. And I was like, I don't have any more bears. And I said, and for you. And I took Elliot's bear and I gave it to her. And he didn't cry at first. He was like, oh, okay. And then we went in and he was like, what happened to my bear? And I was like, I have another one for you. I have another one for you upstairs. And I gave it to him, but it was different.
Yeah.
And he still was really upset about it. And it was his birthday. He was the birthday boy. So it was like,
and he brought it up
he brought it up like 2 days ago. Yeah.
How many years ago was this?
This was his 4th birthday.
So
I think
like 2
he's
years?
6 now. So 2 years ago. Yeah.
He's been carrying this for 2 years.
Yeah,
It's
right. He
hilarious.
was like, I'm thinking about something really sad. I was like, oh, what is it? Tell me. It was like, it's about my birthday and the bear. I was like, no!
That is so funny.
Oh.
Can we just acknowledge how great your son's life is? That the saddest thing in his life is that. Like, what an amazing life he has. I wish the saddest thing in my life, even up to 6 years old, I think I had way sadder things. So actually,
This is not
I almost
bad,
feel like
yeah.
this is a parenting win.
You think so?
Well, the fact that that's the worst thing that's happened to him. But, okay, next time, by the way, you come to me as your bestie and you go, Ari's not getting a bear, go tell him. And then you don't give my son the bear.
My problem is I didn't think. I've only got 8 bears and there's 9 kids here now. I just didn't think that.
But you were actually...
Until the very last second.
You thought more than I would. Like, I don't even think I'd have an extra setup in case somebody brings a sibling. Like, you were over prepared.
Thank you.
Still
Yeah.
didn't have enough bears.
Please, if you're going to go to a party, don't just bring extra siblings. Like, ask or tell them you're going to bring
I'm
your
going to
extra
say that's
siblings.
their parenting fail. I'm not calling this a parenting fail for you.
Thank
It's not.
you.
But I get that what happens sometimes is we don't even think something's a big deal. And then our kid 2 years later is still bringing it up. We're like,
yeah.
I guess I emotionally damaged him. I can't wait for Elliot to be 40 years old sitting in therapy talking about this bear. I can't wait.
That'll be so fun.
That's
Okay, now you have
awesome.
to give a parenting fail.
Okay, so mine's, you know the story, but when my son Luca, my oldest, it was his 9th birthday, and he was obsessed with the Titanic. Like, he had read books. He had not watched the movie. We obviously didn't think it was appropriate for a 9-year-old for many reasons, but he had read books about the Titanic, and he knew all the facts, like how many bathrooms there were and how many passengers, and like he knew all these crazy facts. So I decided to make him a Titanic, because I always make my kids these like fun, creative birthday cakes. So I decided to make him a Titanic cake for his birthday. And I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this podcast because of my advertisers, but I think I'm going to have to say this one word to make the story work. So I am, and by the one more thing that you guys need to know. I was extremely good at never saying a bad word in front of my children. Like, I have done everything else wrong, okay? Not that I'm saying it's wrong to say certain words in front of your kids. That's up to what you decide to do in your family. But I grew up where my parents never swore, and I just didn't want to swear in front of my young kids. So I just never, ever, ever did.
Also, you don't want a 6-year-old repeating a bad word. That would be weird. That would maybe make you look bad.
So I'm cutting up fruit, getting ready for all of his friends to come over for his birthday party, and I slice my finger really bad. And I mean, yell at the top of my lungs. I didn't even think about it. I just sliced my finger. It was so painful. And I go, shit! And Luca happened to be nearby. And this is when we still lived in a small apartment. And he walks over to me and he is shocked. By the way, how sheltered is my child? Like, this was the most shocking thing that happened to him. He walks up to me and he goes, Mom, He can't even talk properly. He's like needing to compose himself. Mom, you just said, oh my gosh, you just said a really bad word. I can't tell. He's like red in the face and just completely stunned. And instead of being a good human and saying, yes, I did. I cut myself and I said a naughty word and I shouldn't have. Instead, I freaking lied. I said, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Because I was trying to buy myself time to come up with a lie. And he goes, you said a really bad word. And I go, no, what? I don't know what are you? He's like, Mom, you screamed it. I heard it. You said a really bad word. I said, Luca, I said ship because I was thinking about your Titanic ship that's in the fridge, and I was cutting fruit, and I knew your friends were coming over, and I didn't want to forget about the cake and leave it in the fridge and for them not to see it. And so I was screaming like ship, kind of like telling myself, remember to take out the ship cake. This is where the parenting fail happens right now. It's not the swear. That is not the parenting fail. This is the parenting fail. Luca looks at me and he goes, oh my goodness, Mom, I am so sorry. I accused you of doing something bad and you didn't even do it. I made this awful thought about you. Like, he didn't use the word assumption. I don't know what word he used. And you didn't even do that. And I made you feel bad about that. I'm so sorry. He looked like he was going to cry.
Kid. What a sweet guy.
He comes over to me, gives me a hug. Mom, I'm so sorry. He's apologizing to me.
Yeah.
And I freaking lied to this kid.
And you're like, thank you, son.
And yes. And then after seeing him so emotional and sweet, again, another opportunity to fix this fail and go, you know what, buddy? Mommy lied. Mommy lied. There's a lesson in this. Sometimes when we get caught, we lie. That's not how we should handle it. Like, what a beautiful lesson I could have taught him. Did I do that? No. You know what I said? It's okay, bud. It's okay. I patted him on the back and comforted him and forgave him for accusing me. That is a major parenting fail. There's not even a way to like sugarcoat this. That is funny. A major. I made my kid feel guilty for something he didn't do. You know what the joke now is? He's almost 23 now. And the joke is, well, no wonder I ended up in a psychiatric hospital. Which I love that he has a sense of humor about his mental health struggles.
Totally.
But part of me's like, wait, did I contribute to it? Like, did I contribute to his mental health by, which I think a lot of parents, once they do have kids who struggle with mental health, they do wonder, like, how did I contribute?
Right.
But that was a major parenting fail. Like, I had an opportunity. First of all, I should have just admitted it. And even after I lied, like, I still had an opportunity to create a beautiful lesson out of it. Did I do that? Oh, no. And then I kept asking my husband after that. I'm like, when do I tell him? I have to tell him. I'm living with this guilt.
When did you tell him?
He was an adult already. I waited a long time.
Oh, man.
Anyway, that was bad. And I did apologize to him finally when I told him. I said, I owe you a huge apology for something I did to you when you were 9 years old. And you know what's sad? He remembered.
He did.
He remembered accusing me and he remembered feeling bad. And I'm like, oh man, that probably is why you ended up in a psychiatric.
No, of course
We're
not.
just kidding. We have to have a sense of humor about this stuff. But that was just one of the, and it is one of the things that I don't carry the guilt now, like, oh, but it is one of the things that I look back on and go, no, that was genuinely worth feeling guilty about at the time. Because I do think that, and I've mentioned another episode, I think, when we talked about guilt, how I think of guilt as mascara, right? There's a lot of unnecessary guilt that we feel, and that's the stuff I want parents to get rid of. But we do occasionally do something that, guilt is that feeling when our actions or words don't align with our values, right? That's when that's genuine guilt. So if I'm taking time out for myself, that example of, you know, going out with my girlfriends or taking a weekend away from my kids, and I feel guilty about that. Well, wait, is taking good care of their mother, of myself, having a good time, having friends, does that not align with my values? No, it does align with my values. So I shouldn't feel guilty about that.
Right.
Does me making my child feel guilty for something he didn't do, making him feel bad, align with my values? No. So that is something I should feel guilty about. Not to drown in it, but more as a signal of, ooh, I don't like that. I don't want to do that again. And I didn't do that again, thankfully. I want to work on this. So the thing I was going to say about how I compare it to mascara is sometimes that one layer of guilt, that one layer of mascara that, you know, just kind of highlights our lashes, or in this case, highlights places where might need some work. That's good. Our problem is that we pile on so much mascara that it looks like a tarantula crawled onto our face, and we end up with an eye infection, right? Because we're piling all these layers on that are not necessary guilt. So I guess that's a good way to think about whether it's a real parenting fail or not. Does your action align with your values?
That is a great way to think about it. You know what I think we should do?
What?
I think we should call a friend. Phone a friend. I think we need to phone a friend.
Okay, we're going to, Kat and I decided this right before we started recording, that we're going to call my friend. Actually, my director's going to text her to call in. We're going to have my friend Carrie, who's a mom of 2, a great mom. She's awesome, and she's very honest. And we're going to ask her for her parenting fail. And then I'm going to read some of the ones you guys sent me, because I think it's really, there's a good variety there, and I think everyone's going to be able to relate to something.
Yeah, and I think the reason Carrie is such a great person to phone a friend is that she is so blunt and honest. Like, she'll say it like it is.
Yes, she will.
So she's going to give
now,
us all
I'm wondering if
perspective.
she's going to be willing to give us her most embarrassing one.
I don't know. We'll see.
While I just said again. While we're waiting for her call, I noticed that when I was reading the answers from, asking my audience about things that their parenting fails, so many of them were about losing their temper, yelling. Kat, have you ever lost your temper and yelled at your children? Me too. So I don't know a parent that hasn't. It's something that I've gotten better at, and I will share my trick. I've shared it before, but for anybody that is maybe listening to me for the first time, I'll share my trick about yelling and temper. I'm wondering if I should read some more, or should we wait for Carrie?
I've texted, but she is not replying.
You know what? I'm calling her.
Just call her.
Screw that. Let's call her. She's probably parenting failing right now, so
Maybe.
that's why she.
Well,
now, where do I hold? Should I just hold it like this?
Hello.
Maybe? Hi, Carrie.
Hi there.
You're
QVC?
you're on a podcast right now, and we're not editing this out.
Oh, I thought I was calling to shop.
To shop for diamonds. You know what Carrie told me about shopping? This is going to be so relatable. I have to tell my audience this, Carrie. Carrie's in menopause, and she told me how she will wake up in the morning, because she wakes up in the middle of the night and can't sleep because of menopause.
Me too.
But then
I never sleep.
Then all of a sudden she'll wake up in the morning, or just randomly during the day, she'll get a package, and she'll go, "Oh, I didn't know I ordered this." And she'll go to her Amazon cart, and apparently at 3 a.m. when she's awake in menopause, she's ordering stuff and then forgetting about it by the time
Oh my
the next day comes.
100%.
So Carrie is now going to have to sell her house because she's bought a lot of, and some of the most random things. You need to make a video showing the most random things you bought at 3 a.m. on Amazon, because none of them are useful.
Wow.
Not one thing is useful. It's like a random wig, and she doesn't wear wigs. But
No, wigs are very useful. But I found out that my head is too big for a wig. How does that make me feel?
you need to order bigger ones from Amazon at 3 a.m. Okay, here's
they don't come in sizes.
Oh.
It's just
well, now I know what I'm getting you
Wow,
for your
who
birthday, even
knew?
though you literally don't wear wigs, but I'm glad you have a full collection.
Yeah.
Okay, listen,
I
Carrie,
do.
we need to know, and we need you to be honest and vulnerable.
okay.
We need to know your biggest parent fail.
Okay, funny or serious?
I think we should do both.
Both.
Give us both.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, because it is a podcast, try and make it concise, not to rush you.
Okay. All right. So if I were to start off with serious, I think I have a lot of I think a big parenting fail for me probably would be seeing things very black and white. And then I had to learn, because that's how I grew up. I grew up in a very Catholic Irish household, and it was very black and white, everything, right, wrong, with everything. And so, and then I was really annoyed at how my mother parented in that way. My mother also parented out of fear, and it drove me crazy. But then when I became a parent, it actually became something I valued. And I started parenting the same exact way. And then until somebody said to me, but you don't want this, like, you have a different relationship with your kids than your mother. And I had a wonderful relationship with my mother, but it was also, is this inappropriate to say? I remember when I was at 35 years old, my mother said, "You don't wear tampons, do you?" Yes. That's like looting that maybe only like whores were to have. Like, Mom,
Oh my gosh, I didn't know
like,
this. I feel like I know all of your life stories and I never heard this one. That's hilarious and sad. Tell me, can you think of a specific situation with your kids where you saw something as black and white and it wasn't healthy for them?
Oh, pull up a chair. I make mistakes every day. I have a real issue with being grateful. And don't you know how good you have it?
Ooh.
Don't you know? And that becomes a reoccurring like eye roll. It doesn't have any power anymore. And it's more like something I need to say to make myself feel better. So in a lot of ways, I wish I had more patience.
Mm-hmm. That whole thing about what you said, don't you know how good you have it? Or even, we talked in a previous episode where we discussed adult children, how some people say, parents will say, after all I've done for you, like they owe us for giving birth to them. Like we chose to have children. But that's so interesting because that's a great example of something that we probably heard older generations, whether it's our parents or grandparents say, and now we're repeating it. And I think a lot of, actually, if I look at parenting fails, a lot of them did come from things I learned from older generations and believing that that's the only right way to parent and having to go, wait, I want to do things differently. And there's power in that.
Right. Well, and I think what you just said is I had to realize that I don't want the same outcome my mother had.
Yeah.
For me. I want a different outcome, but so why am I trying to parent exactly the same?
Such a good point.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay, give me the funny one.
I really do regret this. I feel so bad. I'm constantly operating in a moment of frustration. Typically, like that's what's happening with me. And then when I'm frustrated, I either cry or I might become dysregulated. I mean, this is really awful. And so my son was giving me a lot of lip and a lot of attitude, and I'd had it. And I literally looked at him and I go, do you seriously know all I went through to get you here? Like I literally had to have surgery 3 years ago to put my vagina back and my rectum back because they said you had the biggest shoulders that ever came out of from a baby, out of a woman, and I had to have surgery to put my body back. And you have a lot of nerve. And I wasn't being funny, I meant it. And he looked at me. He was like 15. He was like, what? I was like, yeah. If I have rice, boom, it's like leaning up against my thigh. It's like, it's awful. There are like real physical things that I have to deal with in order for you to walk on this planet, and you're going to give me a look like that? It's unreal.
This is so
I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for that. And I do want to say one other thing about parenting for real.
Oh my gosh. My stomach hurts.
This is for real. I feel like there's a whole lot of like, and that people have to understand that you are going to grow in ways you never wanted to grow ever.
That's true.
When you become a mother, right?
That's true.
Yeah, on the other side, it might be great, but I tell my daughter who's 20, and I don't mean to say this in a mean way, and I've said I love you both, but not everybody needs to be a parent.
That's true.
And don't. In fact, if you want to be rich at 40 or 25, if you want to have a lot of money and a lot of fun, you have to live like a divorced dad who's very wealthy, or don't have children. That is the solid advice I've given my daughter. I'm like, don't feel the pressure. Other women pressuring other women is the greatest thing. That is a bunch of bull.
You know what's funny, Carrie? That's like the one thing Carrie, when we hang out, she always talks about, she's like, if you want to be rich, don't have kids.
Right.
And then, because man, they are expensive.
Right.
Okay, Carrie, I love that you let us put you on the spot. I love you so much. We're going to have Carrie on in person.
Yes.
She lives in New Jersey. I'm in LA, but she visits not often enough, but she visits. So we'll have her on the podcast and we'll talk about your vagina falling out and having to be put back in, because that's a real thing.
That is. That's important to know.
It's a real thing.
Okay.
It's back, but it's hanging a little lower than normal. So I might have to go back in.
Well, now we know whose fault that is.
Yep.
We're all going to blame your son now.
Yeah.
Poor kid. He's going to have a complex about his shoulders for the rest of his
Right?
life.
Oh my gosh.
All right. I love you so much. You're not a parent.
I love you too.
You're not a bad parent. You're not a failure. We love you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine? What was he, 14, 15? Did you say
Yeah.
how old he was? And
Yeah,
he's just
15
standing there
or something.
listening to her.
Oh, it's like, what?
Describing. It's like, wait, I did this to you? What? How? When? Oh my gosh. Okay, that was great. So I mentioned before we called Gary about how, I don't know if it was most of the answers, but more than half of the answers I got about parenting fails was yelling. So Barbara said, I feel terrible about every time I yelled. Tiffany said, losing my temper and shouting over little things. I think we've all been there, done that. And what I've said about yelling, and the first two things were just a joke, but then the third one actually changed the way I communicate with my kids. I've always said that it's not considered yelling if you say it in a megaphone. So I actually did order one. I think it was $12.99. It got delivered in 2 days, and for a while I used it. I think it was during COVID, actually.
Perfect.
Because we were all home and we're all losing our minds, and I was like, I'm losing my mind. I don't want to lose my voice. I'm just going to speak into a megaphone instead of yelling. But it did keep me from yelling, which was cool, because I feel like it kind of started to actually retrain me. So maybe it's a serious tip also.
Yeah.
The other thing I've always told people, and this really works, if you are a regular yeller, like your kids are already used to you yelling, you consider it your spiritual gift. Okay. You consider it one of your greatest talents. What you probably noticed is because you do it so much, your kids don't even react anymore. Like they don't even notice that you changed your volume or your tone, because they're like, oh, it's just mom talking again in a louder voice, right? So if it doesn't work, try whispering instead, because that's way more creepy. So instead of, go put your shoes on, go put your shoes on.
I'm going to go put my shoes on.
Yeah, exactly. It's creepy, and they'll go get their shoes on. Okay.
Perfect.
But this third tip is actually, I didn't come up with it. I don't remember where I heard it, but it worked like magic. When you feel that urge to yell, like you're going to freaking lose your mind because it's been a long day and parenting is heavy, which all of those feelings are normal. Before you yell, like try and stop yourself, try and have some self-control, and walk over to your child and give them a hug. And the first time I did that, I just started bawling. It was Ari, and I think he was 4 or 5 years old. And I was gonna yell at him because I was telling him to do something a million times and he wasn't doing it. And I don't even remember the situation. But I just walked over to him. I got down on his level and I just hugged him. And I just melted into him, and then he melted into me. And what I realized is, when we yell, most of the time it's our own insecurities, right? A lot of times what I found is that my anger was actually screaming, what does this behavior of your child say about you as a mother? And we're all so tired and we're stressed out and we're frustrated and life is a lot, and our to-do list hasn't been completed and we're beating ourselves up over. There's just so much going on inside us that we need that connection in that moment. But also, unless you're like some psychopath, it is impossible to be hugging someone and screaming at the same time. And I actually found that also later when I would get like snippy with my husband, when I get a little irritated, I would just walk over and I would hug him. And again, try it. It's impossible to be like hugging someone you love and being like at the same time. So anyway, try that. I always joke that don't try with a teenager, because they're going to be like, why are you hugging me, mom? You're a weirdo. But it does actually work with teenagers too, depending on your relationship with them.
Sure.
So I think in that moment, the best thing to do is connect with your kid and get that hug. And then also a reminder that I can pause right now and I can communicate the way I actually want to communicate, and the way I won't feel bad about later.
Right.
Now, I say all this, but I do want to also add, if right after this episode, something happens in your home and you yell at your kid, don't beat yourself up over it. Like the fact that you don't want to yell, again, the fact that you're aware and you want to work on it, to me is already a sign that you genuinely love and care about your kids and you want to do better. All right, let's read some other ones that our followers sent in. I'm not going to read the last names just because I don't know, even though they wrote it publicly on my social media page. I don't know if they want it. Carrie says, hell, I put my kid on a waterbed to change him, not realizing it was a waterbed. Plopped down next to him and catapulted him off the bed. He's okay. He'll be 32 tomorrow.
Perfect. Phew.
Sharon says, but again, to me, that's not a parenting fail.
Right,
like that's
right.
just a
Pretty
mistake.
funny. Yeah.
Sharon, getting mad at my little boy for losing the money he needed for a field trip, only to find it in my bra a little later.
Right? Oh.
I've done that actually. I've gotten mad at my kids for like, where did you put the tape? You
Right.
had the tape last, and I realized, no, I had the tape
had-
last.
yeah.
Like, has that ever happened to you?
100%.
I mean, I've done it with my husband.
Yes.
Like, I think everybody's done that, where they
Right.
blame somebody else in the house, and then they realize, oops.
Right.
Kelly says, my older brother lost most of his index finger as a small child.
Oh, no.
When my kid was preschool age, she would not stop picking her nose. I told her that's how her uncle lost his finger. She ended up having a panic attack.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh, this is so good, Kelly.
Oh, man.
Brenda, overloading my kids during the summer with activities. The next year, my middle son, who was all of 6, said, Mom, could we maybe just have a chill summer and not do so much? My kid taught me to live in the moment. Oh, that gave me
Yeah,
chills.
I've done that.
Yes. I think it's 2 things. One, we're like, we got to keep them busy because when they're home, they go crazy and we
Yes.
all lose our mind. And then the other thing is sometimes parents feel pressure of like, my kid needs to be involved in all kinds of things and be a well-rounded kid. And I love that this 6-year-old, what a smart little boy. Can we just chill and not do so much?
Yeah.
What a great lesson for all of us. I love that.
Yeah.
Maybe Brenda, that's a parenting win because what an amazing
Yeah.
kid.
Totally.
Jamie Lynn, I accidentally locked my son in the car when he was a baby.
Oh.
I was at work and coworker's husband is in the fire department in the same town. So we had the door unlocked in about 6 minutes. Okay, I'm going to say something. I actually only used hers, but there was at least a dozen parents who bravely admitted that they accidentally locked their kid in a car. One was actually like, the kid is okay, but one actually had to be rushed to the hospital.
Wow.
So there are so many devices now, thankfully. Have
Yes.
you seen those? Like
Yes.
so many different options that'll alert you, remind you, whatever. And I know there's stories every summer. There are stories of
Yes.
kids that die in hot
Yes.
cars.
Yes.
So if you do have a really busy life, distracted life, or, in this case, it might have just been an accidental, she accidentally locked him in. Get one of those devices, like search it. There's a lot of
Right.
stuff. And, I almost feel like every parent should have it because
Right.
this could happen to any of us.
Well, we did it like with our 4th child. I never did it with any other child, but with the 4th child, we did it like twice. And like we caught it pretty quickly.
Did you forget he was in the car?
Yes,
or-
forgot we'd put him in the car. There's just too much
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
He was coming along for the ride. One of them was coming here at your house to film.
Yeah.
And he was in the car. He was just going to come along with us. He was an infant. And we just got out of the car and started walking in. And then we were like, somebody said,
Yeah.
wait, didn't you bring Elliot? And we were like, and he was in the car. Like we just walked a few steps away, but we
Yeah.
were like, oh my gosh. So we did. We got one of those
But
things.
see, even that, like usually when you come to my house, you don't come with the kids.
Right.
And especially when you're coming to work, right?
Right.
So this can happen to anyone. I'm so glad
Yeah,
you
yes,
shared that
yes.
publicly because I think if I had young kids right now, if I was starting over, I would have one of those. Again, there's so many different options.
Yes.
But I would get one of those devices just because nobody is above being.
That's exactly what I thought. I
Yeah.
thought, this could happen to anybody. I've had 3 other kids never happen for some reason. With this one, I'm just more distracted. But no matter what, just get
Yeah.
one of those little, I think it was a keychain thing.
Yeah, I've heard of that one. I think you told me about it,
Maybe.
actually. Yeah. This is a really good one. Shar said, having too high of expectations from the quote unquote helper child.
Oh.
So many times the quote unquote good kid, or a lot of times the oldest kid, will have a lot of responsibilities of helping take care of the younger ones or have to help around the house a lot. And that can really affect them for the rest of their life. It can really, not be positive for their own mental health. And so I love even the fact that she's aware of this, because I feel like so many parents aren't aware until the child, as an adult, the childhood is already over, right? As an adult comes to the parent and says, hey, I got to talk to you about something. There were way too many expectations on me to help with this and do this. I see so many times with these larger families with a lot of kids where the oldest child or even the older two end up having to play the parental role. And I personally don't think that's fair. Helping every once in a while at the younger sibling, yeah, of course. Like Matea, my daughter would change Ari's diaper every once in a while or whatever. But I wasn't expecting her to play the mom role and like, okay, you need to make sure he has this, and you're in charge of him for, all of whatever, this part of the day, or unless it's like a babysitting thing. This happens, especially I hear from my followers who grew up in larger families. I had a heartbreaking email. This was a few years ago. A woman, I think there were 8 or 9 kids in her family. And she said, starting at age 7, I had to be mom. And that meant I had less time with my friends. I had less time for my own activities because my parents had so many kids. They needed my help. They couldn't do it on their own. And I think that's a really good thing to be aware of. If you're going to have a lot of children, that's great. Everybody should have as many or none or whatever they want. But make sure you're not putting that responsibility and that expectation on kids to all of a sudden have to be adults and have adult responsibilities.
Right,
I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
So
Nor are they ready or capable to do it.
Yeah. I love that Shar said this because I think this is really good for people to hear. Katharina said, sent my son to school on a free day. Secretary called. I love that.
But a day, like they didn't have school that day?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Aaron, I took my 5-year-old daughter to a trampoline park the day she got her cast off from a broken arm and she broke it again.
No. Oh, no.
Okay, these are 2 kind of similar ones. Crystal said, when I was young and dumb and kept choosing my partners and having a good time over my kids. I love that you wrote this, Crystal.
Yep.
This is important for people to hear. And then Sherry had a similar one, bringing a man into their lives and marrying him when I shouldn't have. I woke up, divorced him, and apologized to my kids. Wow. We are going to do an entire episode on dating as a single parent. I have very strong opinions on this from personal experience, but also from all the stories you people have shared with me. But if you are a single parent, make sure that you are never, ever, ever choosing a partner over your kids. And I am so proud of Crystal and Sherry for admitting this. And like Sherry said, make sure you are not marrying someone and bringing someone into their life that is unhealthy.
Right.
It doesn't even have to be dangerous. Sometimes people are like, well, he's not abusive. No, if it's unhealthy,
Sure.
don't. If he looks at your children as baggage, as like, well, I love her and I guess I got to put up with them. That's unhealthy. That's wrong. Don't do that. Only be with the type of person who will treat your children as their own and love them as their own. Okay, one more, and then we're going to wrap it up. Stacy, I even now sometimes forget that kids have feelings and opinions too. And I, without thinking, have been dismissive, especially when I'm really frustrated and burnt out. I think that's such a good one. I think we've all done it. And I've definitely done it. Even recently, Ari was upset about something and I was so tempted to just go, like, I was kind of like busy and distracted and I thought he was making a big deal about nothing and wanting to go, this is not a big deal. But instead having to, in fact, I think I don't remember what I said, but I said something kind of dismissive and then had to go back and go, you know what, Ari, that was really, really rude of me. I did not for a second consider what you're actually feeling, what you're actually thinking, or even what she said about the kids have their own opinions. Like, kids should be allowed to have their own opinions.
Sure.
Right? Like, I don't think we should raise kids the way a lot of our generation was raised, where what the parent says and how the parent feels is the only way, and it's the only right way. Let's allow our children to disagree with us. They still might have to follow certain rules, obviously, and boundaries, and be respectful. But let them have their own opinions. And when they do feel something, let's stop telling, if a child is sad, let's stop telling them, don't be sad. Let's teach them how to deal with the sadness. If they're mad, let's not say, don't be angry. Let's instead say, you're angry, aren't you? Okay, let's talk about the healthiest, most productive way to deal with this anger right now and teach them how to deal with it, because otherwise they're going to grow up to be adults who are suppressing how they feel. So instead of saying, don't be sad, validate, you're sad. All right, let's talk about what to do with the sadness right now. What a beautiful gift we give our children when we actually allow them to feel what they feel and then teach them how to process it.
True.
All right, I love you all. You are not a failure, even if you have some fails. But if you need some encouragement and if you need some practical tips, Kat's used my Hope and Humor app.
I have.
Hope and Humor Daily is what it's
Yes.
called. When she needed a good parenting
Absolutely.
tip here and
Yep.
there. And even if you have a parenting fail and you're like, I want to handle this differently, or how do I apologize to my kid for this? I definitely could have used this app when that whole Titanic
sure.
thing happened.
You
and
can,
been like,
you can type in like, what do I say, or what do I do, or I'm having this problem, and the app just kind of gives you some great ask questions.
Yes.
And then gives you great suggestions.
yeah, it'll help you process it. And then it can even give you a script. Like you can ask the app, give me a script of how to word this to my child, to admit I screwed up or to apologize, or I want to do this differently next time. How do I handle this differently? Anyway, Hope and Humor Daily, if you want to check it out. And also, if you ever want to call in and leave a voicemail question for us, you can call 855-912-4175. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please rate it, write a review. If you hate the podcast, please don't. I love you so much. Bye.